So my name's Katie Schwab and the exhibition is called A Working Building. I think wider in my practice, I have a real interest in sort of early to mid 20th century design and craft processes and design practices. And prior to the residency, I'd been doing a lot of research into Crusade, which is a textile factory that was based in St Ives that was printing wood block printed silks and linens for garments and curtains and things like that. And at the same time, looking at Plymouth's history of post-war redevelopment. So on the one hand, I was thinking about Crusade, looking at the designs they'd produced and starting to interrogate some of those processes involved in that production. So who was making these pieces? Where were the designs coming from? What were the materials? What were the dyes? And the naming of the colours and the naming of the designs was making me really ask questions about my own use of abstraction in works and forcing me to kind of really interrogate, why are these paint colours named the way that they are? Why are certain shapes used in designs? Like, where are these references being drawn from? And so I guess on the one hand, I was kind of thinking about this factory, and then also thinking about being here in Plymouth and this presence of post-war architecture in the city, and in particular looking at the building of the council house. It's a kind of very pristine example of post-war design with extreme attention to detail. There's like terrazzo flooring, Hessian walls, and in the council chambers, the walls are made of kind of striped woven fabric, and inset into the walls are oil paintings that sort of reference Drake and the Armada. And so I guess, the questions that building brings up for me are around this idea of like artists being commissioned to respond to a space and what experiences they bring to that space. So, maybe with Hans Tisdall, there's a sense of bringing a German artist back into a space, which is very complicated for me. My grandparents were German Jewish refugees who came to the UK in 1939. In a way, sort of through this project, it's been making me think a lot about that family history. So my great-grandfather had a textile factory in Germany that they were forced to leave and forced to kind of emigrate. In this context, like begin with a textile factory in the 20s, sort of take you through to like a period of when Second World War starts, and then sort of looking at examples of post-war design. I sort of see the show as kind of a patchwork of different references to these points in time and kind of personal connections, and there's also very kind of extensive archival research that's gone into the videos. And for me, like, the videos have been a chance to unpack some of that research and kind of raise some of the questions that have evolved throughout the project and throughout the kind of material and design choices that are embedded in each of these objects. When I started the residency, I was really excited to try out some different technologies like 3D scanning, 3D printing, working with the CNC machine, the laser cutter, but also like working with the wallpaper press with different kind of printing techniques, try things like glass blowing. So the beginning of the residency was really just trying out a lot of these different processes and kind of little experiments in each of those. Through that, some processes and materials kind of came to the fore. One of the main processes that I got very engaged in was using the rug tufter in the textiles department. And through quite a long engagement with that machine, I produced these collection of 3 rugs. Also, when I first started the residency, I was learning a lot about hot and cold dyes and different techniques of using heat presses to fix colours and things like that. I used the enamelling kiln in the jewellery department to make a series of tiles. So I think throughout the project, I've very much been moving between different departments. So that's felt really exciting to have those possibilities here at college, and this feels like the beginning of lots of new ways of working for me. This 18-month period has been amazing to kind of feel really embedded in the college and to get really involved in production processes, to learn about new materials, new ways of making. That's been really, really wonderful. And I think also, it might be the end of the residency, but it doesn't feel like the end of those kind of connections with this place. And, for me, it's been a really social time, and it's been a time to get to know the city, to get to know people in the city, to get to kind of continue a relationship with spaces in Cornwall, to be able to kind of revisit archives. And hopefully that's kind of visible in the show, that there's a lot of kind of voices and hands that have been present in the space kind of coming into being, and to kind of keep that relationship going in different ways.